Uriah Heep. Now, the best way to describe Uriah Heep for me is to tell you guys how I discovered him. I had just seen Queen at Winterland, and I've told this story before. The next day, I went in to my local record store and I bought Queen 2. I was so amazed with them. And there's a few bands that I've done that. I've seen them first and went, I got to go get their album right away. Joe Walsh and Barnstorm was one. Montrose was another. You just see them, you go, man, I didn't know they were even playing tonight. Maybe they were the opening band or whatever. And you go out and get that record. So I went out to get Queen 2. Now think about record store layouts, folks. Queen, Q. RSTU ain't too far away from Queen, right? Well, guess what? I picked up this album cover, and I just couldn't resist it. You know, it's like that famous Carol Burnett episode when she comes in, they're doing this spoof on Gone with the Wind, and she's wearing drapes, and he goes, "What a fetching gowns." And she goes, "Well, thank you. I just saw it in the window and had to have it," right? So it was like one of those album covers for me. This is the album cover that was facing me when I went to go pick up Queen 2. Demons and Wizards by Uriah Heep. Now, I've only done this a couple of times in my life. Another one that comes to mind is a prog rock band called Starcastle. Had a great album cover, and I bought it just on the album cover alone. And many of you know, I am a Roger Dean fan. And Roger Dean not only did this album cover for Uriah Heep, but he also did The Magician's Birthday for Uriah Heep, right? And I immediately bought that, both of those when they were available, and went back and bought previous albums by them. When I went to look for previous albums, because I was a fan, I bought the damn album because of the cool album cover. So Guilty as Charged. But then I listened to it and it was like freaking amazing, right? I was already a Zeppelin. I was already a Black Sabbath fan, right? I was already a Deep Purple fan. And it was like, I have found the fourth when I listened to especially these first two albums and then going back to get their other albums. Now, when I went to go get what would have been our first album here in the States, which was entitled in England, Very Heavy, Very Humble, okay? And that's the album cover. I'm not sure I would have been that attracted to that. But here in the States, and with a slightly different list, if we go into discographies and stuff heavily tomorrow, we'll go ahead and talk about that. But here's the album cover we got, and it wasn't called Very Heavy, Very Humble. It was called Uriah Heep. Now, this wasn't too far off the beaten path from a Roger Dean kind of cover. I mean, it's not his style at all. It's all kind of black and white, right? But at least it was fantasy based and everything else. Then I went to go get their Salisbury album after that. And this is the album that you guys in the UK received, Salisbury, right? And to tell you the truth, I don't think I would have been all that crazy about it. It's a nice picture and all of that. I don't think I would have been that crazy about it any more than I was at first crazy about the Paranoid album by Black Sabbath, the cover, not the album. The album's great. But I thought it looked chintzy, and I thought, well, this is kind of chintzy, you know. I don't know. I don't like album covers that has current technology. If there's technology from the past to make an artistic statement, and you go, yeah, but in 10 years, Michael, this will be an artistic statement. You're right, but you got to realize I was 17 at the time, and this didn't ring my chimes. But, you know, I didn't have to worry about it too much because that's not the way it came in the United States. The way it came in the United States was like this. Uriah Heep, Salisbury. I love this cover. I love the coloring. I love the burnt charcoal-like drawing, a human-like figure with, you know, I love the whole thing. It really sings to me. So those are the albums I grabbed. when I started catching up on their discography. Now, nobody else in my group knew about them. And I got to tell you, it was a real hard sell to get anybody really excited about listening to Uriah Heep. You know, these days, Uriah Heep consists of Mick Box. Matter of fact, I was just watching my favorite lineup. Aren't they all dead but him? You've got David Byron, who passed away at 38 due to primarily alcoholism, but it went beyond that, right? Ken Hensley and Lee Kerslake, did they not die in 2019 together? Or not together, but like within months of each other, right? And Gary Thane, he's one of the 27 Club members. He died at 27. I forget the first name of the band, but basically a guy named David Garrick and Mick Box started this band that eventually became, for a moment, the band Hogwash, then quickly changed to Spice. And at the very last minute, because in 1969, when they changed the name of the band, it was the 100th anniversary of Dickens' death. So they decided to take a character out of David Copperfield, Uriah Heep, as a band name. Really smart. He was very in vogue. And by the way, this David Garrick became David Byron. He named himself after Lord Byron, all right, because there was another David Garrick in the music industry. So now you have David Byron and you got Mick Box, and they're just looking for a triad to get an idea off. And they're thinking, both Mick Box and David are saying, you know, it'd be cool if we could add some keyboards. They're hearing keyboards in their music at this point. They didn't have that yet. And they were influenced by Vanilla Fudge. They wanted that Vanilla Fudge type of thing, right? And so for that first album, Ken Hensley, he comes in at the very last minute. Matter of fact, a couple of the tracks on that first album were recorded by a studio keyboardist. Basically, they found him, and so you had his instrumentation, if not his writing skills. It wasn't too long before they found out that Ken Hensley was quite the writer, especially when it came to lyrics and things like that. And he wrote the bulk of their songs or was a co-writer. So he either wrote or was a co-writer the vast bulk of Uriah Heep's songs over the years. He was their secret weapon, right? So now they had these three, and by the time we got Demons and Wizards, we had the full, what I consider the classic rock lineup. When you're talking about the lineup of David Byron, Mick Box, Gary Thane, Lee Kerslake, and Ken Hensley, that's my Uriah Heep. Just like Mark II of Deep Purple is my Deep Purple, even though I really like Marks 3 and 4. Now, there was an article that I kind of wanted to cover here. See if I can find that thing. From I think it was a UCR article. All right, yeah, it is. And they're talking about the top 10 Uriah Heep songs. And I want to see if you guys agree with this. So at number 10, they say Too Scared to Run from the Abominog album. Number 9, July Morning. What a beautiful song that is. For the Look at Yourself album. Another one I didn't get, but I been listening to it. I love this album. Sweet Lorraine from The Magician's Birthday at number 8. Number 7, Tears in My Eyes from Look at Yourself. Return to Fantasy. Okay, and then Sunrise, one of my favorite songs by Uriah Heep from The Magician's Birthday. Easy Living, great, Demons and Wizards. And Gypsy from Very Heavy, Very Humble. And Birds of Prey from Salisbury at number 2. And finally at number 1, Look at yourself from Look at Yourself. Now, out of that top 10 list, I saw some omissions, and maybe you guys did too. What about the Wizard? Why isn't the Wizard on there? All right, I don't. That very first cut that they mentioned, I would have taken off and put the Wizard on it immediately. Rainbow Demon, The Spell. The Spell is great. Poet's Justice, Blind Eye, one of my ultimate, that's like one of my very favorite Uriah Heep songs. Tales wasn't on that list. The Magician's Birthday, a smorgasbord of a song, right? Not on that list. Come Away, Melinda. Oh, good Lord. Doesn't sound like Uriah Heep practically, but wow. And that's from Very Heavy, Very Humble. I Won't Mind from Wonder World, side 2, second track. Baby, you want slide guitar. One of you were saying, what about Ken Hensley playing a lot of the slide guitar we didn't know he played? This is blues. If you going, well, I don't know if I could possibly comfortably entertain the thought of listening to Uriah Heep. You might want to listen to this because this is very blues based. This is a nice in if you come from that direction. All right. And Stealin' from Sweet Freedom.